is Carolyn, and on the afternoon of August 11th, 2024, I was outside taking my dog out, and on my way back in, I saw two police officers, female police officers, coming in through the laneway. I live downtown at 3A Government Road West in Kirkland Lake. And they were coming in through the laneway, and I was outside with my dog, and two cruisers again came through the laneway. And I looked and saw that it was a female officer in the one cruiser. Didn't look at me. She just continued on towards behind the restaurant next door. Second cruiser came in, same thing. I looked. They didn't pay me any attention. They just kept driving. So I continued on into the house where my 7-year-old daughter was inside. And again, as I said, I was taking my dog out, two dogs. As I get in the house, I lock the door as I always do because we live downtown, and for some time since we moved in there, there's some, I'm gonna say, imposing male males around. Live next door to a bar, there's drinking, that kind of thing. So anyways, so I locked the door and I went in to take a shower. So I told my daughter, I said, hey, I'm gonna go take a shower. Shower's in the basement. So I go downstairs and start to get ready for my shower. And next thing I know, my daughter is screaming, she's yelling for me, telling me that someone's knocking on the door. So I go upstairs and look out because she said it was the front door. We use the back door. She said it was the front door off Government Road. So I looked through the door. I didn't see anybody. And then I was talking to her as I was making my way to the back door, and as I'm walking over to the door and trying to ask my daughter, like, well, did you see who it was, anything like that, then I noticed that the deadbolt on my back door that I just locked starts to open. So right away, my first thought is, holy, somebody's trying to break in. Because again, you know, I'm at home with my daughter. Only people who have a key are me and my son. But at the same time, I'm not expecting my son. So it just, again, someone was knocking on the front door. And then all of a sudden, the back door's opening, right? So anyway, I ran over to the door and I had time to kind of hold the deadbolt and push the door in an attempt to kind of see who was there. And that's when I heard a female voice just saying something like, hey, Carolyn, you know, we just have to check on the kiddo. You're not in trouble. We just have to check on the kiddo. So I'm not really thinking. Like, by this point, I'm a little confused in my how do you say? I went into defense mode because for a couple of reasons. First of all, you know, I'm at home alone with my daughter and someone's knocking on my door, but now all of a sudden someone's kind of trying to get into my door. It's a female, not my son, trying to say, hey, just let me in. I need to check on you. They didn't identify themselves at that point, at any point, as OPP officers. And again, they're trying to open my door and bust, like, come through, you know, with the I don't know what. Anyway, so I'm trying to hold the door. I'm trying to figure out who's at the door. This woman, again, is just trying to say, hey, I need to come in. I'm like, well, no, I'm okay. You don't need to come in. So I'm trying to figure out who this person is who's trying to break and enter into my home at this point, because I don't know who it is. And they're trying to, without even, knocking at the back door, trying to gain entry, right? So I went into protection mode. I'm trying to figure out who's at the door. Who is this woman trying to say she needs to just come in by force? And at the same time, I'm trying to check my security camera, because there is one facing where this woman would be, because I'm trying to identify who she is. And at that point I realized that my camera is laying down flat, so I can't actually see who it is. So we're talking, this is like all happening while I'm holding the door, trying to talk to the lady. I'm trying to figure out who's at the door because it's happening fast, and like I said, I'm just trying to figure out what the heck is going on here. Of course, I kind of went into like panic mode at the same time. So then all of a sudden, there's a male voice that comes in. So I get even more kind of like panicked, because now there's a woman and a man who apparently have a key or something trying to get in. And again, only myself and my son are supposed to have a key. And all of a sudden they're telling me that they're gonna be battery ramming through my door. So then I snap and I'm like, oh, the police, okay, right? So before I get a chance to do anything at this point, they start ramming my door as I'm holding it. So my arms, like they hit it twice as I was holding it. So by the time I kind of snap out into what's happening, I realize it's the police now, because they hadn't identified themselves as such to me. I unlock the door, open it, and sit. There was a chair behind me, so I just opened the door, let them, they rushed in, and I just kind of sat on the chair as about 6 officers rush in, walk past me to, I don't know, I guess check on my kid, followed by my son. So now I understand through this rush what's happening, I guess, that my son had provided them with the key, but again, I have no idea what's happening. So I'm sitting there, and again, they rush in to go talk to my daughter. My son comes in behind them. Not sure why he's there, not really sure what's happening. Because again, as I was coming in, the police officers that saw me outside didn't pay me any attention. So I had no reason to think that the police were there for me, or that it was even the police at this point. When I initially, didn't open the door for them, I guess, because they were forcing their way in with a key after knocking once at the front door. So all of a sudden they're not really asking me any questions. They're just like, we need to handcuff you. And I'm like, okay. I'm sitting down quietly at this point. I'm not resisting or anything at this point. I'm sitting there and they want to cuff me. I said, okay. Then they said, we got to take you. I'm like, where? They said, to the hospital. I'm like, why? I said, well, we got to check your mental status. I'm like, why? Well, because we're worried about you. Okay. So at the same time, I'm a little, how do I say, maybe not in the right state of mind, in the sense that I'm a little confused as to what's happening, and they don't want to explain to me. They're not asking me any questions. They just handcuffs, and we got to take you. So they proceeded to, as I said, cuff me and inform me that I was going to be brought to the hospital for psychiatric evaluation. For what reason? Not sure. So I comply. I'm then brought into a cruiser that's parked in my driveway, and I'm left there for about 15-20 minutes or more. I don't really know at this point, but I'm assuming it's around that. While they search my place, talk to my child, both of them, I guess. I realize at this point that my ex-husband is there also. He's been called for some reason, and nobody's talking to me. I'm sitting in the vehicle by myself for about 20 minutes while they do all this. I then have to watch them remove my child from our home, accompanied by my other child, who I'm not even sure why he's there. So two of my children, I have 4, but 2 of my children, I have to watch them kind of be taken out of our home while I'm just sitting there and I have no idea what happened. So I sit there and as I mentioned, I'm compliant. I didn't fight or anything. I'm watching all this happen and I'm just like I said, nobody's talking to me. Then, like I said, I assume it's about 15-20 minutes. I don't really know. Then two female officers come out. Don't really say anything to me. They don't ask me if I, need a phone, my keys, do I need anything, do I need ID, anything like that. Also considering they just broke my door open, they don't make sure that anything's safe or anything like that, because you'll find out later, but no, I didn't have keys, I didn't have a phone, I didn't have anything. They didn't ask if I needed my purse, anything. They're just like, let's go. So they don't say anything, drive off. They went through onto Government Road, so they go back through the laneway, the wrong way, onto Government Road, which as we're pulling out, I see my child, being consoled by my ex-husband and a police officer, patting, consoling them both, right on Government Road, where everybody could see. And I'm being driven out like a criminal to the hospital. So again, the whole time, not one word is said to me. And I don't say a word to them. They don't ask me any questions. They don't talk to me. They talk amongst themselves about other things. So all the way to the hospital, which isn't that far of a drive because, again, I'm downtown. So then we get to the hospital, and I calmly get out. I'm still cuffed at this point. I get out. They both come around, to kind of, flank me on each side because I'm being treated like a criminal for some reason. I'm still in handcuffs, even though I haven't displayed any aggression or anything besides not opening the door before I realized who it was. So then I'm walked in, to the emergency room department, where I'm left. Again, I'm cuffed, and I'm in the hallway there in the triage room, or not even the triage room, the waiting room, where everybody can see. And I just stand there, and they're like, okay, Karen, come in this way, and I just do everything they said. At this point, we were joined by, I'm going to say, 2 other officers. So at this point, I'm, such a threat to everybody at this point that there's 4 officers to accompany me to the hospital at this point. Again, nobody said anything to me. I'm not even sure why. But anyway, so now there's 4 of them who are guarding me during this mental health assessment that I'm being forced into while I'm completely calm. Not even saying anything. I'm not agitated. I'm not anything. 2 of them accompanied me right into the triage room. 2 of them stood outside, to make a bigger spectacle, I guess, in case what? I ran away, I don't know. 4 of them, guarding me. So we go through the triage. Again, not really anything is asked, just regular, hey, do you have allergies? These kinds of things. They took my blood pressure. All while, again, like I said, I'm just sitting here and I'm like, there's police officers and I'm just... So anyway, then I answered all the questions. Like I said, it was just a basic triage at this point. They might have asked if I had taken any drugs, which I hadn't. I had not taken any alcohol either. I was not intoxicated. So then, again, I'm still cuffed at this point. With the doors open, I had no privacy while I was there whatsoever. So then they want to move me into, I guess, an exam room, or I'm going to say an observation room in my case. So then I'm walked down the hall. Again, I'm handcuffed still. Everybody's doors are open, so everybody in the emergency room, gets a nice view of me being handcuffed and walked, through the emergency room, because I'm being treated like a criminal for some reason, with 4 officers again flanking me in the hallway. Then I'm brought to, I don't remember what exam room it was, but anyway, I'm put into one of their rooms, which again, I just sit. I'm not agitated. I'm not doing anything because, again, I was just at home minding my business when this all started. So I sit down, I'm still cuffed at this point for quite some time. Then I wait, the doctor comes in, asks me a few questions like, do I know who I am? Do I know where I am? Do I know what day it is? Because, again, it's psychiatric evaluation, so do I know, level of consciousness, that kind of stuff. Did I take any drugs? Was I drinking? Anything like that? No. Was I agitated that day? Yes. Why? Well, I'm going through a very, I'm going to say, messy divorce. And, 4 kids and these types of things. So I was a little upset that day. I had argued, with my son and a few other things. So I was upset, as I had been, and, I'm not going to make excuses for that. I'm allowed to be upset. And again, I live downtown, and I'm a very expressive person, and, like I said, I'm not even sure, but, I was expressing my anger outside and my frustration, and I assumed somebody overheard me, so I'm not sure exactly what, was said. Everything's just rumors at this point because nobody, the OPP will not answer my questions about why or what brought them to my door that day. But, so anyway, doctor asks me, talks to me for about 5 minutes, because I explained this to him very calmly and very lucidly, and just like I did just now. So then he's like, okay. And then he leaves. And then a lab tech comes in. I'm like, okay. Well, right? So I'm like, what purpose do you, like, what do you need blood for? So the lab tech proceeds to tell me that they are looking for routine things, such as blood sugar and electrolytes. And I'm a nurse, so I'm like, okay, sure, but like, all right, if you really need to, I guess. Like, are you worried that I'm having like a blood sugar issue or something? Because at this point, again, nobody's really, accusing me of anything. They're just kind of like, okay, you're here, and I'm gonna feel you out, We're going through the motions. So again, I'm like, because they're not offering it to me, and the doctor hadn't really mentioned. So I said, listen, I asked him flat out, what are you taking blood for? And again, they said routine stuff. So they're checking to see if I'm dehydrated, nice of them, or if I'm having a diabetic, event. Okay, sure. I comply because I'm there, and what am I going to do? Right? Right? So, fine. Check that. It's at this point, actually, that they removed the handcuffs, because I was handcuffed that whole time. Even when the doctor was assessing me, I was handcuffed. Because again, the female officers, did they leave by this point? No, they had not. The four of them were standing in the hallway having a discussion about what they were going to make for dinner, and these kinds of things, as I was sitting in there under observation, because I'm sure they have cameras and things in those rooms. And again, I'm just sitting calmly, complying, not talking, like just sitting there calmly. So again, come in and tell me if they're going to take blood now. Okay, sure. And again, routine stuff, in case I'm dehydrated and, having a blood sugar event. So let that happen. Then, again, I'm just sitting there. Nobody comes in to talk to me. Nobody, I'm just sitting there. And then all of a sudden, lab tech comes back and he says, oh, I'm gonna need some urine now. I'm like, okay. Again, I'm a nurse. I realize that they're gonna test me for drugs, but they're not telling me that they're testing me for drugs. Like, I'm not stupid. I realized it. Because again, he told me they were just checking for routine stuff. So again, now he comes in and he said, oh, I'm going to need some urine. And by this point, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm just like, can't believe this is happening to me. So I'm just going through the motions myself, and I'm not going to argue with you. Like, I'm here. You guys have me here if you need some pee to show that I'm, not intoxicated or whatever. Again, I'm just going through the motions. I'm not here to argue. But again, they don't tell me why they need it or anything. They're just like, we need this now. So again, I comply. Then again, I'm put into a waiting kind of position. I was there probably, I'm gonna say about between 2 and 3 hours, I'm gonna say. Only. And most of it was spent me just sitting there waiting. At one point they offered me dinner, so I did eat while I was there. And then all of a sudden I notice that the officers are gone. I don't hear them anymore. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm assuming it's because they got the results of the drug test that said I was not intoxicated or anything, that, I had not been deemed a danger to anybody, anything like that. So after guarding me for them for, I'm going to say, the better part of an hour and a half, if not more, they all four of them, without saying a word to me, not one word, they just disappear. So after my dinner, as I mentioned, they did offer me dinner at the hospital before I left. Didn't ask me what I wanted though. Anyway, the doctor comes in and he just says, okay, you can go home now. I'm laughing. It's not really funny, but I can't even make this up. He just says, you can go home now. And I'm like, oh, okay. Am I just supposed to walk? The police kind of gave me a ride here. I don't have keys. I don't have a phone. I don't know anybody's number. Can you help me out? Like, they busted my door. Can I even go home? Again, because the police didn't say anything to me. They just left. And again, they had busted my door and all these things and, didn't require conversation at all. So I had some questions when they were just like, hey, go home. So the doctor's like, oh, what? You don't, there's nobody you can call? You don't have... I'm like, I don't have anything. They just brought me here. I don't have any money. I don't have anything on me. I don't have my keys. Can I even get in? I'm not even sure. I don't even have my keys to get in So he says, hang on. He said, I'll go call the OPP and see what to do with you, kind of thing. So I'm like, okay. And I'm joking about it now, kind of thing, but it's, not really funny. So again, I wait for about another half hour or more. And he comes back. Or did he come back? Or it was a nurse? I think it was a nurse who came in, and she just said to me, she said, the police said that your door is open and you can just go home. I said, okay, all right. Because again, I'm not here to argue. So, yes, I'll definitely walk all the way home after you brought me here. And they said my door's open. I'm like, oh, wonderful. All my belongings, everything. I live downtown. My door's broken and it's open. And you guys just left it like that. But thank you. Again, I'm not talking to them. I'm getting the nurse is sending me a message to just kind of go home now. So after all that, I'm going to say a spectacle of what it, and to this day, and I tell you, I don't even know what happened to bring them there that day like that. Anyway, they just say, go home. So then I proceed to take the long walk home, crying by this point, because I can't believe what just happened to me. I'm a little confused, and I'm just all these things because, it was quite, traumatic event. So then I proceed to walk home. At the corner of Tweedsmuir and Government Road, I see two of the officers in a cruiser, two officers that had, kindly escorted me there. And one escorted me there. The other one took part in, I guess I'm going to say search of my home earlier. And I'm crying because, that just happened. And they just look at me and it's like nothing. And they just keep driving. And I'm just like, I kind of put my arms up, because I wanted to talk to them. I kind of put my arms up to kind of get their attention. And they just look at me with disgust and just kept driving. I'm in visible distress at this point. And they just keep driving. I'm like, okay. So I keep walking. And I'm a little upset. Again, even more so now because that just happened. And then I make it to to my home. Now, if you were listening earlier, I mentioned that when they started with the battery RAM on my door, I had to unlock the door. Or I did unlock the door and I opened it for them. So they had not actually like busted through the door. They had hit it twice and like did a bit of like superficial damage, but they hadn't broken through it. I had to unlock it and open it. So when I get, I'm gonna say home, I'm like shocked to see that my lock has actually been removed. My door is now broken and the whole locking mechanism has been removed. And my door won't even close properly. So for some unknown reason, they actually damaged the lock even more than it was when I left, and removed it and left my door open. With my purse and my keys and my whole life, my home, just open, just like that. Because my door wouldn't even shut properly. And again, I'll mention that everybody saw what had happened, so everybody knew that I'd been removed from there. So very nice of them, by the way, to like invite, everybody in to just rob me while I was gone too. Very nice. I appreciate that. So I'm, again, quite distraught, even more so now because I'm realizing, like, my door's broken. I can't even lock it now. This is my home, and now I can't even lock my door because this has all happened. And I'm home now, and I have no idea what happened because nobody even asked me a question. They never said, Carolyn, we got a call that this was happening, So I'm a little upset, and I decide to, call the police to be like, you know what, can you please explain to me what the just happened? So I tried to call the non-urgent line because it's, I don't really want to call 911 and bung them up. So I call twice and I get the voicemail, and I'm like, could just be me. It could just be busy or whatever. It was after hours. Either way, I didn't get through, so I decided to call 911 and ask them to kindly have somebody call or come to explain to me what the happened. So at that time, again, I'm calling 911, so she let me go, and she had an officer call me back. Now, this officer, I'm gonna say, was one of the ones that was involved earlier in the afternoon. Also the one that ignored me on the street when I was visibly crying and like in distress and trying to get their attention to talk to them. He calls me and he's annoyed, I'm gonna say. Even more than annoyed. Like, he's mad. Okay? Doesn't even know why I'm calling. Well, I guess maybe he heard the 911 call. But, like, mad. So, I didn't get very far with him. So, I just kind of asked, what kind of happened. I didn't even get an answer because, okay, so how did it go? Right, so I was trying to explain to him my perspective of what happened because he was very hostile. First of all, I was upset about my door, and he just basically told me that it was my fault that the door got broken because I didn't open it for them. And when that happens, it's not their responsibility to fix or fix or repair or give a basically. He pretty much told me that they weren't locksmiths, and not his problem. His nice words. Then next, I was trying to get a little bit of clarity about what happened and maybe give him a little bit of perspective about what was happening from my perspective. And I was telling him, hey, I was downstairs getting ready for a shower when you guys started to knock. And he said, don't give me your it that you were taking a shower. I said, okay. And again, I tried to kind of, get a little bit further with him, and basically we left it at, I kind of gave up talking to him when he said to me, I hope you get the help you really need, implying that I'm some sort of crazy, mentally ill person who requires more assistance, I guess, than the police that I didn't ask for, and a visit to the hospital for mental assessment and blood work and all, and then sent home. Who the these police officers to be, how do I say, giving advice and mental health diagnoses without even offering fucking help or having any, I'll say a leg stand on to say that after I was just, handcuffed and taken out for help. If that wasn't enough, well, holy shit, right? Anyway, sorry. So he says to me, basically shut the up, quit wasting my time, and go get the help that you really need. So I'm like, all right. And at the same time, I'm a little bit of an I guess. And I'm like, you know what? I still would like somebody to come and talk to me. Maybe not you, but I would like somebody to come and talk to me in person and explain to me what happened. So he says, okay. He says, okay. And so this is about 6 o'clock. Says, okay, we hang up. Then I wait. And at about 9 o'clock, another officer, a male officer, and a female officer arrive to, I guess, follow up because I asked for somebody to come and explain to me what had happened. So at that time, again, I don't get any answers because I still, to this day, don't know who called. Really, I heard through rumors, and I'm not going to use that as fact. I've heard through rumors why they arrived on scene. Because rumors in this town, carry a lot of weight. But the OPP have never explained to me what happened that day and why, when they arrived on scene and saw me outside, why those female officers didn't get my attention and approach me outside, first of all. There's a bunch of other first of alls, but anyways. So the officer comes, and I'm again trying to sort through this shit because I've no what happened, but it happened, and I'm worked up because, took my kid, gone, haven't seen her really since. That's another story for another day. But, my door is broken. I got, kind of like taken out by force. I was taken up for psychiatric evaluation, and I keep just trying to ask the police, what happened? So this officer is also giving me attitude. Not as much as the other one, but attitude. So very unhelpful. So it's at that point that we're discussing what happened, and I mention that my camera was laid down. So I said, you know what? Like, I couldn't even see who was out there. So then he's like, okay, well, let's go see. He's like, well, do you know who would have done that to your camera or anything like that? And I said, no, because the last time, you know, I looked at it, it was fine. So we go out to the back, and we're looking at the camera and all these things. And then he's like, well, does it record? And I said, well, no, it doesn't record, but it takes screenshots when it's triggered, when there's motion. So we go back inside after discussing other things, and he asked me if he could see the screenshots, because we agree that that's strange. So it's at that time that, you know, in the presence of an officer, I realized as I was looking at the screenshots that it was the, you know, kind female officer, the first one who showed up at my door, who turned my camera down. And so as we're flipping through the screenshots, you know, it's quite obvious that that's what happened. And again, I'm viewing this, and I'm absorbing this at the same time as the officer, you know, that's now standing beside me. And he's doesn't really say anything about it. So, you know, I had just had a day, and now this was happening, and it was getting a little scary for me to realize that, you know, the police had done that, and that this officer didn't seem to really care or pay mind to it. He's still kind of like, you know, being a little rude with me now, even more so. So then, again, you know, I was in a way, I guess, because I'd had a day. I remember exactly what was said, but, you know, we kind of wrapped up the conversation. And then before he left, though, because I had mentioned, of course, I was upset about my lock too, right? So we talked about that. And I had mentioned that they had gone into my drawer and used one of my tools to remove the lock, and that had just been left on a chair. So before he left, he took that tool with him. So I'm assuming here that it's like for police work, right? Because why else, you know, would he take it in his bare fingers? You know, he didn't take pictures, he didn't do anything. But again, I'm not a police officer. I'm just, you know, kind of like a person who's like, holy what the my name here. So anyway, I allow him to do it, and I'm just like, okay, at this point, you guys do whatever you want, because I'm terrified. Just gonna say. And now he's being rude, and he's trying to say that, you know, I'm a hard person to follow up with. Apparently, one of his partners tried to follow up with me 10 times about something else, and I never answer my door. So he's attacking right away my character. You know, he asked me if I want a follow-up with the app, I'm going to say, that I spoke to on the phone, because, you know, we had kind of mentioned him because I had had a talk with him. So he says to me, well, do you want this officer to follow up with you? And I said, well, only if he's going to be nice, you know, kind of thing. And then he's like, well, do you want me to follow up with you then? I'm like, yes, I would like somebody to follow up with me for sure. But like I said, only if that guy can be nice. So anyway, we just leave it like that. And again, he's kind of attacking my character, that I'm like a hard person to follow up with, and, you know, not being very nice. and again offers me a follow-up. And I'll just mention that this was August 11th, 2024. We are now October 1st, 2025, and I've still not had a follow-up from either one of them. But, is that the point? Perhaps. So, I don't think I have anything else to add about that specific evening. It was quite an eventful day for me. And again, I still don't know what brought the OPP to my door that day officially. Again, I'm not going to state rumors or, what apparently I was up to that brought them there, because from my perspective, I was I'm going to say sane, not intoxicated person, a lucid person, that the OPP did this to. And again, I was outside when they first arrived on scene, because it turns out that's what it was. At the beginning of my story, I mentioned that I'm out with my dog, and two cruisers come by me and just ignore me. But they let me go into the house. They see me calmly walking my dog, but they go into the house like that, and she come up and right away put my camera down to obstruct so I couldn't see. So I don't know if this was like a pathetic attempt at escalating an apparently already escalated person or what. I'm a little confused still and a little angry, because their actions that day heavily affected my life. Again, I'll mention that, I haven't seen that child that they removed because I was then deemed dangerous to my kids and mentally unstable. So I have 4 children now that, I have no contact with, basically. Maybe for other reasons too, a little, but that event that happened that day really didn't help me at all when it came to that, because again, I was deemed dangerous to myself and others, and that I was mentally ill, in psychosis, and that I was on drugs and intoxicated. So again, I want to thank the OPP for my experience that day. And again, if any of you would like to, explain to me what happened, it's too late now. I already lost my kids because of it, but I would still appreciate your follow-up. Any of you officers without a conscience